The distress beacon pierced through the void of space, its signal growing weaker with each passing moment. The UES Hawthorne, a deep space research vessel, had been tracking the unusual transmission for 3 days before Captain Sarah Chen decided to alter their course. The signal didn't match any known human frequencies, nor did it correspond to the handful of alien communications protocols Earth had encountered in its brief ventures beyond the solar system. "Analysis complete, Captain," Lieutenant Rivera announced from his station, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. "The signal's degrading, but I'm detecting traces of quantum encryption. Whatever sent this, it's far beyond our current technology." Chen stood from her command chair, approaching the main viewport. After 15 years in the Space Force, she'd learned to trust her instincts. Something about this signal felt different, desperate, almost primal in its urgency. "Dr. Harrison, your thoughts?" she asked, turning to their xenologist. Emma Harrison had been unusually quiet since they'd first detected the signal, her usual enthusiasm for potential alien contact replaced by focused concentration. "The pattern suggests intelligence, obviously, but there's something else. The signal's structured like a neural impulse, as if whatever sent it was trying to transmit pure emotion rather than just data." The Hawthorne's engines hummed as they pushed deeper into uncharted space. They were well beyond their assigned patrol route now, but Chen had already decided this was worth the risk. Humanity had spent decades wondering if they were alone in the universe. The handful of alien signals they detected had all been automated beacons or ancient recordings. This was different. The ship's AI, suddenly interrupted their speculation. "Captain, detecting a massive object emerging from fold space. Initial readings suggest artificial construction." The bridge crew watched in awe as space itself seemed to tear open, revealing a vessel that dwarfed the Hawthorne. Its hull was organic in design, flowing like liquid metal frozen in time. But what caught Chen's attention were the massive wounds torn into its side, evidence of weapons far more powerful than anything humanity had developed. "Life signs," Chen demanded, already moving to initiate first contact protocols. "Multiple signatures," Araya confirmed, "but they're fading rapidly. Captain, they're dying." The next few hours became a blur of activity. Despite the potential risks, Chen ordered emergency docking procedures. The alien vessel's hull seemed to recognize their intent, forming an organic seal around the Hawthorne's airlock. The rescue teams, led by Dr. Harrison, entered wearing full containment suits. What they found would change humanity forever. The Meridians, as they called themselves, were a species of crystalline beings who communicated through light and neural resonance. Their ship, a combination of technology and grown crystal, was one of the last survivors of their civilization. Through their neural translators, they shared their story. The Meridians had been peaceful explorers, their civilization spanning dozens of star systems. Their technology focused on communication, understanding, and harmony with the natural laws of space-time. They had no weapons, no armies. They had never needed them, until the hegemony arrived. The hegemony, a collection of aggressive species united under a doctrine of technological supremacy, had declared the Meridians' mastery of crystalline technology a threat to their dominance. Without warning, they launched a campaign of systematic extinction. "We did not believe such hatred was possible," the Meridian Elder transmitted, its crystalline form dimming as its life force ebbed. "We had no defense against their weapons. Billions of our people, countless years of culture and knowledge, erased in days." Dr. Harrison, her eyes wet with tears inside her helmet, watched as the Elder's light pulsed weaker and weaker. But before the end, the Meridians made one final gesture. They transferred their most precious knowledge, their understanding of crystalline technology, their star charts, and most importantly, their warning about the hegemony, into a crystal matrix small enough to fit in a human hand. "We sensed in your kind a balance we once knew," the Elder transmitted. "The capacity for both creation and destruction, tempered by wisdom. Guard this knowledge. Do not let our end be in vain. As the last meridian's light faded, Captain Chen stood in the alien ship's control chamber, holding the crystal matrix that contained the legacy of a dead civilization. The weight of responsibility settled over her like a physical force. "ARIA," she commanded, her voice steady despite the emotion threatening to break through. "Send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Priority Omega. First contact achieved. Request immediate diplomatic and military consultation." The Hawthorne's crew worked tirelessly to salvage what they could from the Meridian vessel. As they worked, they discovered more evidence of the hegemony's brutality and their technological capabilities. The weapons they used hadn't just killed the Meridians, they had tried to erase every trace of their existence from the universe itself. But they had failed. The knowledge survived, passed to humanity in a final act of trust, and with it came a choice. Would Earth heed the warning and prepare for the hegemony's eventual arrival, or would they try to remain hidden, hoping to avoid the fate of the Meridians? As the Hawthorne began its journey back to Earth, Captain Chen studied the crystal matrix, watching the light dance within its facets. She already knew humanity's choice. They would not hide. They would not forget. And when the hegemony eventually turned their attention to Earth, they would learn that not all species could be so easily erased from the galaxy. The age of humanity's innocence was over. The real question was, what would they become in the crucible of what was to come? The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension as the holographic recording from the UVS Hawthorne played for the third time. Admiral James Thane watched the crystalline beings fade from existence again, his weathered face revealing none of the turmoil beneath. 27 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. "The implications are clear," Dr. Emma Harrison's voice carried across the chamber. She stood before the council, the meridian crystal matrix hovering above her palm in a containment field. The hegemony represents a threat unlike anything humanity has encountered. Their technology, their methodology, their sheer destructive capacity. They make our most advanced weapons look like children's toys. Then perhaps discretion is the better part of valor. Counselor Zhao interjected, her fingers drumming nervously on the ancient wooden table. "We could have decades, perhaps centuries, before they discover Earth. Time to prepare, to advance our technology naturally." Admiral Thane finally spoke, his voice cutting through the murmurs of agreement. The Meridians had centuries of advancement beyond us. It didn't save them. And they'd given us something far more valuable than technology. They'd given us warning. The crystal matrix pulsed, as if responding to his words. Dr. Harrison had theorized that the crystal retained some form of consciousness, an echo of the Meridians' collective memory. The thought that they might be witnessing the last remnants of an entire civilization's consciousness made the weight of their decision even heavier. In the 3 months since the Hawthorne's return, Earth's finest minds had worked to understand the Meridian's crystalline technology. Progress had been remarkable, but disturbing. Each breakthrough revealed not only the elegant sophistication of Meridian science, but also the methodical brutality of their destruction. "We've confirmed the hegemony's pattern," Lieutenant Commander Kira Patel stepped forward, activating a new holographic display. A map of the galaxy appeared, with spreading red markers indicating the hegemony's path of conquest. They don't just conquer, they erase. Any civilization with technology that could theoretically challenge their dominance is systematically destroyed. The Meridians were their 15th confirmed extinction event. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's rapid technological advancement, their innovative approaches to physics, but in the end, the decision was made not by the Council, but by the crystal itself. As the arguments reached their peak, the Matrix suddenly projected a scene that filled the chamber, the final moments of a Meridian colony world. They watched in horror as hegemony weapons systematically erased every trace of civilization from the planet's surface. The message was clear. This was not just about survival. It was about standing against an evil that threatened the very concept of diversity in the galaxy. "We'll need to keep this quiet," Counselor Zhao said finally, her earlier hesitation replaced by determination. If word gets out too soon, there'll be panic. Agreed. Admiral Thane nodded. Project Prometheus begins immediately. Every shipyard, every research facility, every military installation, all focused on preparing for what's coming. Dr. Harrison, you'll head the Crystalline Integration Program. Lieutenant Commander Patel, establish a deep space early warning network. We need to know the moment they enter our detection range. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Harrison approached the Admiral, the crystal matrix still pulsing gently in its containment field. There's something else in the crystal, she said quietly. Something the Meridians didn't fully understand themselves. Their technology. It's not just advanced. It's different. They approach the fundamental forces of the universe from an entirely different perspective than we do. Thane raised an eyebrow. Different how? Where we see warfare as a clash of forces, they saw it as a dialogue with reality itself. Their technology doesn't overpower physics. It persuades it. If we can truly understand their principles, combine them with human ingenuity. She trailed off, her eyes distant with possibilities. The Admiral understood. Humanity had always excelled at taking existing ideas and pushing them in unexpected directions. The hegemony had destroyed the Meridians because they couldn't control their technology. But humans had a talent for turning noble ideas into weapons when necessary. As he left the council chamber, Thane looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, the hegemony continued their campaign of extinction. Unaware that their next target had been given both warning and weapons, humanity would not go quietly into the dark. They would take the Meridians' legacy of peace and understanding and forge it into a shield, and if necessary, a sword. The real work was just beginning, and when the hegemony finally arrived, expecting to find another defenseless civilization to erase, they would instead discover that humanity had turned their own methodical nature against them. Every moment they delayed was another moment Earth had to prepare. The stars seemed a little colder that night, but humanity's resolve burned all the hotter for it. 5 years after the Meridian encounter, the UES Prometheus hovered at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hybrid hull reflecting starlight in ways that seemed to defy physics. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching as her crew ran through final system checks. The ship represented humanity's first true fusion of their own technology with Meridian principles, and their best hope for survival. Crystalline matrix stable, Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported, the daughter of the Hawthorne's former captain, following in her mother's footsteps. Quantum resonance field holding at 98% efficiency. Maya nodded, her hand unconsciously touching the small crystal shard embedded in her temple. Every crew member wore one, allowing direct neural interface with the ship's hybrid systems. The hegemony would be looking for Meridian technology, but they wouldn't be expecting to find it merged with human innovation in ways even the Meridians hadn't imagined. All ships report ready, Captain. Commander David Foster announced from Tactical. The Prometheus wasn't alone. 11 other ships of varying designs waited nearby, each incorporating different aspects of the crystalline technology. They were the first wave of Earth's new defense fleet, about to embark on their riskiest operation yet. Operation Starcaster is go, Maya declared, her voice steady. Execute jump sequence on my mark. The plan was audacious, perhaps even reckless, but it carried the hallmarks of human strategic thinking. Rather than wait for the hegemony to find Earth, they would take the fight to them, not through direct confrontation, but through a campaign of carefully orchestrated revelations. The fleet vanished in a cascade of crystalline light, reappearing near a hegemony mining colony. Their ships, designed with input from the Meridian Matrix, were invisible to standard hegemony sensors. They weren't here to attack. They were here to plant seeds of doubt. Begin broadcast, Maya ordered. The Prometheus's communications array came alive, transmitting a carefully crafted message across all hegemony frequencies. Not a declaration of war or a demand for surrender, but something far more devastating. Truth. The message contained proof of the hegemony's systematic extinctions, their lies to their own people, and their suppression of technological advancement. Most importantly, it demonstrated that their victims' knowledge had survived and evolved. Multiple contacts, Foster reported. Hegemony Defense Fleet responding exactly as predicted. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Execute Phase 2. The Earth fleet split into predetermined groups, each ship's crystalline hybrid systems, performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. They danced through hegemony fire, their hulls redirecting energy weapons harmlessly into subspace. This wasn't just a demonstration of survival. It was a message written in light and motion. They're deploying their primary extinction weaponry, Chen reported, her voice tight. This was the moment of truth. Either Dr. Harrison's theories about meridian crystal technology were correct, or the hegemony weapon fired, a beam of pure annihilation that had erased countless civilizations. It struck the Prometheus's hull and shattered into prismatic light, absorbed and redirected by the crystalline matrix. The impossible had become possible. Broadcast concluding, Foster announced. All ships report successful data packet delivery. Hegemony civilian channels are already lighting up with questions about what they just witnessed. Maya stood from her command chair. Signal the fleet. Emergency jump protocols, scattered return vectors. Let's give them something to think about. As the Earth ships vanished into fold space, they left behind more than just confusion. They had demonstrated that humanity could not only survive hegemony weapons, but had mastered technology the hegemony had tried to erase. The message was clear. Extinction was no longer a certainty. Back in Earth's orbit, Admiral Thane received the mission report with grim satisfaction. The hegemony's greatest weapon had always been fear. Fear of difference, fear of change, fear of losing control. Now that fear would work against them. The Prometheus's success proved that Dr. Harrison's theories were correct. The Meridian's technology wasn't just about manipulating physical forces, it was about understanding them at a fundamental level. Humanity had taken that understanding and applied their own perspective, creating something entirely new. Send word to the production facilities, Thane ordered. Begin full-scale implementation of the hybrid designs, and get me a secure channel to the resistance contacts we've identified in hegemony space. It's time for Phase 3. The war hadn't officially begun, but the first battle had been won. Humanity had shown they could stand against the hegemony's most powerful weapons. More importantly, they had shown the hegemony's own people that their leaders' claims of technological supremacy were built on lies. As Maya Rodriguez filed her mission report, she reflected on the Meridian crystal matrix that had made it all possible. The peaceful explorers might be gone, but their legacy lived on. Not just in the technology they left behind, but in the proof that understanding could be more powerful than destruction. The hegemony had sought to erase all trace of civilizations that might challenge them. Instead, they had created the very thing they feared most, a species that could not only survive their weapons but turn their own tactics against them. The next move would be the hegemony's, but humanity was ready. The age of extinction was about to meet something it had never encountered before: hope. The Hegemony Council chamber on Dominion Prime erupted in chaos. High Commander Vexthor slammed his armored fist against the ancient table, sending spiderweb cracks through its surface. The holographic displays showed what should have been impossible. Their subject worlds were in open revolt. How? He roared, his translator struggling to convey the full range of his fury. How have they turned our own systems against us? But he already knew the answer. The humans, the insignificant species they had discovered too late to quietly eliminate, had done more than survive. They had evolved. On the bridge of the UES Prometheus, now upgraded and battle-tested, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the real-time intelligence feeds with satisfaction. The crystalline matrix embedded in her temple hummed with information as reports flooded in from resistance cells across hegemony space. Another successful liberation, Commander Foster reported. The Centauri colonies have declared independence. Hegemony forces are in full retreat. The past year had transformed the conflict. What began as a defensive preparation had become a revolution. Humanity hadn't just adapted the Meridian technology. They had shared it with others who had suffered under hegemony rule. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice urgent. "Priority transmission from Admiral Thane." The hegemonies launched a desperate counterstrike. They're heading for the Arcturus research facility. Maya's blood ran cold. Arcturus housed Earth's primary crystalline integration laboratories, where Dr. Harrison continued to unlock new possibilities in the fusion of human and Meridian science. If the hegemony captured that facility, "All hands, battle stations," she commanded. "Alert the fleet. We're not losing Arcturus." The Prometheus led a battle group of 20 ships through fold space, emerging to find the hegemony's remaining extinction fleet. 30 capital ships armed with their most devastating weapons, already engaging the facility's defenses. They're not trying to capture it, Foster realized, studying the tactical display. They're trying to erase it, just like the Meridians. Maya's expression hardened. "Not this time. Execute Protocol Omega." Full crystal integration. Throughout the ship, crew members touched their crystal shards, establishing a deeper neural link than ever before. The Prometheus's hybrid hull began to pulse with internal light as human consciousness merged with Meridian technology in ways their creators had never imagined. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The hegemony ships unleashed their full arsenal, expecting to overwhelm the human vessels through sheer firepower. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to bend reality itself. The Prometheus moved like a living thing, its crystalline hull absorbing and redirecting energy weapons, while conventional missiles passed harmlessly through space, where the ship had been microseconds before. The rest of the human fleet demonstrated similar capabilities, each ship's crew working in perfect harmony with their hybrid systems. But the real turning point came when Dr. Harrison, watching from Arcturus, activated her final project. The facility's massive crystalline array sprang to life, establishing a quantum resonance field that connected every human ship in range. Suddenly, they weren't just individual vessels. They were a single consciousness, moving and fighting as one. "Impossible," High Commander Vex Thor whispered, watching from his flagship as his extinction fleet was systematically dismantled. Not through superior firepower, but through a level of coordination and adaptation that seemed to defy natural law. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the hegemony fleet was in ruins, and humanity had demonstrated a truth that would reshape the galaxy. Technology without understanding was just machinery, but understanding combined with innovation could change reality itself. As rescue operations began, Maya received a priority transmission from Earth Command. Dr. Harrison's face appeared, her expression grave but triumphant. "We've decoded the final layer of the Meridian Matrix," she announced. "Captain, what we found. It's not just about technology. The Meridians weren't just another advanced species. They were on the verge of something revolutionary. A fundamental shift in how conscious beings could interact with the universe itself." Maya understood the implications immediately. The hegemony hadn't just feared the Meridians' technology. They had feared what that technology represented. A future where brute force and domination became obsolete, replaced by harmony and understanding. "Send me everything," Maya ordered. "If we're going to end this war, we need to understand what we're really fighting for." As the data streamed through her crystal shard, Maya felt a profound sense of responsibility. Humanity hadn't just inherited the Meridians' technology. They had inherited their dream of a galaxy where different species could coexist and evolve together. The war wasn't over, but its nature had changed. The hegemony's defeat at Arcturus proved they could be beaten. More importantly, it proved that their philosophy of domination through force was fundamentally flawed. The question now wasn't whether humanity would survive, but what they would build from the ashes of the old order. As Maya studied the new data, she realized that the Meridians' final gift wasn't just the means to defeat the hegemony. It was the blueprint for something far greater. The tide hadn't just turned. It had transformed into something entirely new, carrying the seeds of a future that even the Meridians hadn't dared to imagine. The crystalline spires of New Meridia rose from Earth's Pacific Ocean, a testament to how far humanity had come. 10 years after the first contact with the dying Meridian ship, the galaxy was transformed. But inside the hegemony's last stronghold on Dominion Prime, High Commander Vex Thor prepared for one final act of defiance. "If we cannot rule," he declared to his remaining loyal followers, "then none shall inherit." The device they had constructed represented everything the hegemony stood for, the ultimate expression of their philosophy of destruction. A quantum cascade device designed to trigger a chain reaction that would tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. But humanity had anticipated this too. Captain Maya Rodriguez, now Admiral Rodriguez, stood on the Prometheus's bridge as the combined fleet of Earth and liberated worlds prepared for their final operation. The ship had evolved with its crew, its crystalline hybrid systems, now so integrated that the line between technology and consciousness had become almost meaningless. "All ships report ready," Commander Chen announced. "The quantum resonance field is stable across all frequencies." Maya touched the crystal shard at her temple, now grown into an elegant lattice that framed her face. Through it, she could feel the presence of every crew member, every ship, all connected in a way the hegemony could never understand. "Dr. Harrison," she called, "are you ready?" From her position in New Meridia, Emma Harrison smiled. The decades had turned her hair silver, but her eyes burned with the same intensity that had first decoded the Meridian Matrix. "The network is active. Every crystalline array from Earth to the outer rim is synchronized. We can do this." The plan was audacious, combining human ingenuity with Meridian wisdom in a way that would either save the galaxy or tear it apart. But they had no choice. The hegemony's quantum cascade device would destroy everything if they didn't act. "Begin the sequence," Maya ordered. "All ships, execute final protocol." Across the fleet, thousands of crystal shards pulsed in harmony. The hybrid ships began to move not just in physical space, but in the quantum realm itself. This was what the Meridians had discovered, what the hegemony had feared, the ability to communicate not just across space, but with reality itself. The hegemony's defenses opened fire, their weapons still devastating but ultimately futile against ships that could phase between quantum states. The Prometheus led the advance, its crystalline hull singing with energies that defied conventional physics. But the real battle wasn't being fought with weapons. Through the crystalline network, humanity broadcast not destruction, but understanding. The quantum resonance field carried the accumulated knowledge of both human and Meridian civilization, touching every mind within reach. The effect was immediate. Throughout the hegemony's ranks, individuals who had been conditioned for generations to fear difference began to understand. They saw the truth not just about their leaders' lies, but about the fundamental interconnectedness of all conscious beings. Vex Thor, watching his forces lay down their arms, made his final move. The quantum cascade device activated, its energies beginning to tear apart the fabric of local space-time. But this too had been anticipated. The crystalline network, spanning the galaxy, didn't try to stop the cascade. Instead, it embraced it, channeled it, transformed it. The very force meant to destroy became a tool for creation. The quantum cascade merged with the crystalline resonance field, and for a moment, every connected being in the galaxy shared a single consciousness. They experienced what the Meridians had discovered, and what humanity had helped realize, that the universe itself was conscious, and all life was part of that consciousness. When reality stabilized, the hegemony was finished. Not destroyed, but transformed. Vex Thor and his loyalists were contained, their weapons and ideology rendered obsolete by a power they had never understood. In the years that followed, the galaxy entered a new age. The crystalline network became the foundation of a civilization that transcended traditional boundaries. Humanity's role was not to rule, but to bridge between species, between technologies, between consciousness and reality itself. On the 10th anniversary of the final battle, Admiral Rodriguez stood in the Great Hall of New Meridia, surrounded by representatives of 100 species. The crystalline matrix that had started everything was enshrined there, still pulsing with the last memories of the Meridians. "We thought we were inheriting a weapon," she told the assembled beings, "but what we really inherited was a vision. The Meridians showed us that the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy, but the capacity to understand."